Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Design Underground, episode 22. I'm Rob, Designopotamus Irving.
And I'm Tyler, forgot my funny nickname for this week, PIxley.
That won't fit on the little placard above your ship. So.
Oh, well.
So today we're going to leave off with the map building stuff for a little while. Some people pointed out, rightfully so, that, well, I'd love to build some maps, but you haven't given me those puzzle pieces yet. So we're going to hold off on map creation for a little while and go back to some topics more particular about our gang. And today we're going to talk a little bit about game balance. One of the most crucial things for designers and, well, something that's near and dear to our hearts because we've been doing a lot of it recently. We already have our Proving Grounds and our alpha backers playing the game right now. You are helping us get this balance right. But we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing, what we've done, and how it all works. Now, we talked before about ship stats, and there will be another talk about ship stats because ship stats change a lot. What's your favorite ship?
The Typhoon.
Why?
Because it is a storm of destruction.
Storm of Destruction would be a good call sign too.
Ooh, yeah.
And I like the Wasp. What do you feel like is the hardest thing about the game?
What is the hardest thing about the game? Well, I would say like many other people, it's facing a wasp head on and trying to hit it.
That's why I like the Wasp.
Yep, I know it would be.
So we know, and we will, of course, address over time. It depends on, it's always a matter of what you can schedule and when. We are going to address the fact that the profiles of the ships are difficult. There needs to be some change there physically to even things up a little. That's part of the balance. But also, we've gone back and rebalanced the ship stats, taking their profiles into account. The new numbers, I think 29 is the new number total for ships. We'll show those again in an upcoming Design Underground. But what we did is we changed their point scores based on how difficult they are to hit. So, for instance, the Goliath, which is a giant cube, and the Panzer, which is pretty beefy itself, have very low numbers in that, which means they got more points in other categories. So the Panzer got a little bit more defensive capability. And by the time we're finished balancing it, I'm guessing that the Panzer will be one of the ships that, if it's fully beefed up, can take a mega missile in the face and survive. So, Typhoon, not so much.
Nope. That's okay.
So as far as the ship balance, ongoing process, you'll see a lot more of that as new ships come in, as we continue to refine what we have, and your feedback certainly helps to spur that. But another thing that is really crucial to Descent balance is the power-ups. Those are the toys. I mean, you want to find something and pick it up and get that little sense of glee. The Mega Missile is very popular.
Yeah.
So, do you have a preference for weapons right now as far as the lasers versus the Vulcan?
Well, for a little while the Vulcan was my favorite just because it was overpowered and awesome. But right now it'll have to be quad fours.
See, that's overpowered. That word right there, that is the bane of design everywhere. It's like, I mean, no matter what you change in a game, you're going to constantly hear cries in the forums of, this is now nerfed, this is now overpowered. That often calls back to player preference. It's like, this is my favorite thing, and now it's not as good. Probably because it was overpowered, and we're reducing that. But, if it's your favorite because, well, you liked how overpowered it was.
Wah, wah, wah.
So the Vulcan may need a little bit of love to bring it back in balance with everything else. We may actually pick up its fire rate a little bit and get it to alternate fire like it's supposed to do. We'll see about that. That's a hard thing, yeah. He looks at me and goes, wait, I have to code that? No!
We genericized everything. It was working, and then this new parameter got added, and we're like, yeah, that'll be a while.
It will be a while, but it's a good idea. So what we want to do, what we had initially with the power-ups was, well, initially we had replication problems, and we ended up having a gajillion, would you say, approximately, power-ups in each map?
15 duo quinquagintillion, about the same number as there are atoms in the observable universe.
Rough estimate from Tyler PIxley.
Yeah.
So We had to first fix that. That is when we introduced the Power Up Manager, which you are pretty much exclusively the author of. What exactly does that do in a quick summary for?
So what the PUM does...
It is the PUM.
Yep, the PUM, is it tracks whenever a power-up is collected by somebody and then subsequently dropped or expended by somebody. So if someone blows up, the PUM receives all the information from the ship saying, okay, what did I have on me? What do I drop? And if someone uses ammunition or missiles, each firing of that calls the PUM and says, hey, I did a thing. I did a thing. I fired a homing missile. And it's like, okay, do I have enough homing missiles to spawn a power-up? Yes, I do. All right, let's put a homing missile power-up in the map.
How about shields and energy, for instance? They're not really tracked as per usage.
No, they are not tracked per usage because that would take entirely too much computation because they go up and down all the time. Instead, basically what we do is you pick it up and then it just has a set respawn time because everything has a respawn time. When you fire that 4th homing missile, for instance, that is when the countdown starts until until that new pack of homing missiles appears in the map. So until this week, that timer, that same time, all power-ups spawn on that same timer. That same time would start for shields and energy as soon as they were collected.
And then they'd come right back out.
And they would come out, yes. So what we had to do was basically fudge in a usage thing. Because like when you pick up missiles, you aren't expected to immediately use them. So we add a bit of time to that timer to say, okay, this is approximately how long it would take for them to use 25 shields, 25 energy. I mean, it's kind of a rough, wild-ass number right now, but it's there, and it significantly helped the balance between 836 and 880.
Yeah. So what we have now is a much better proliferation, I will say, of shields and energy. Lower proliferation in this case is better. Because one of the other problems we had, even with the Power Up Manager in there, is once we got the Power Up spawning under control by introducing the Power Up Manager, we realized pretty quickly that even though there's a limited amount of space to place power-ups in the map, if there's only a handful of guns out there, which they don't respawn,
Nope.
then what would happen is eventually the best players would end up with all of the laser upgrades and the machine gun, the Vulcan.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be sort of a king of the hill situation where one person was just taking down everyone who got in their path and no one else could be competitive with that person. Plus, with the infinite supply of shields and energy that we had at one time, it made it even easier for that one person to stand forever and just destroy everyone on the map. Not a fun experience for newcomers. We'd like them to have a chance to.
Well, not even a fun experience for middling players such as
This is
myself.
True. That's true. I don't know if I'd call you middling. But so what we ended up doing with that is the Power Up Manager already has a balance built in for the number of players. The spawn timer is longer for a smaller number of players and shorter for a larger number of players. With the weapons, we then introduced a similar idea. And so what was the equation we ended up with? This was Keith's idea, I believe. But
it was mine. It was my idea. I don't know why people keep saying it was Keith's idea. It was my idea. I brought it up from the moment...
Poke the big red Tyler button. Poke the big red Tyler button.
From the moment I designed the PUM. Okay.
We'll edit that out. Or maybe not.
All right, so when a new player joins the map, they essentially bring more weapons in with them. So every single player, when they enter the map, bring with them a laser upgrade. So basically, another person can get level 4 lasers when 3 more people join the game. And also, on every third person joining the game, a Vulcan cannon spawns.
Yeah. And each map starts with at least, depending on its size, more or less, at least 4 laser power-ups. So one person can have 4s and one person can have 2s, and at least 2 Vulcans. So in theory, right now the Vulcans are capped at level 1. Those might eventually level up further, but for now it's at 1. So each player should, in theory, be able to get their hands on at least one laser power-up at some point. And because they're delayed in their spawning, they actually come in over time, so that first person can run around and pick everything up and be stomping around the map. But then somebody dies in response or joins late, and there's a laser waiting for them. Maps like Mobius have even more lasers than Vulcans, so there is a lot more equality in the game, and everyone can have a chance to do well. So it brings everything back together a little bit. It doesn't stop the good players from being good. It doesn't stop the bad players from every now and then being frustrated. But at the same time, it does give everybody a better experience overall.
There's a difference between victory and curb stomping.
And I think on that note, we pretty much have covered the whole topic. Remember, designers, there's a big difference between victory and curb stomping. So says the PIxley. Keep in mind that you too can help us balance this game. If you are a backer and you have alpha access, you are already in there helping. Your feedback on our forums is hugely important. We really do read, we really do listen, we really do respond. Beta backer, easy for me to say. Beta backers will be in very soon, and eventually we'll be going to an even wider audience. But get in there. We want to hear what you think, how much fun you're having or not having. And we will see you next time on the next Design Underground.